Welcome back into the hat trick. There is 3 goals in a hat trick. There are 3 guys on stream, and there are 3 topics at hand. Myself, Dominic Crusetto, Mr. Casey Wick, Mr. Sam Gillette, and we're going to have Sam start it off. But real quick, AI for Biz is the sponsor of this show. We want to get that in there before we get started. But Sam, what's our first topic of the night?
So I want to talk about how every other sport is being watered down because of the non-physicality, and then you look at hockey and the physical nature of hockey. It's a man sport, right? You don't have the hard hitting anything or anything like that.
All right. There's a time machine. Sam, you've aged.
We interrupt your regularly scheduled program to bring you this important announcement from the Emergency Sports Broadcasting Network. Weak constitutions should seek shelter immediately. Pop is about to pop off.
Hockey, the last bastion where the sport can be the physical sport that it was meant to be. You don't hear a bunch of pansy in this. Oh, we got to protect them. That I remember Mean Joe Green. I remember Dick Butkus. I remember guys, quarterbacks that could take a hit, get up with a broken leg, jaw displaced, and throw an 80-yard touchdown pass. What's happening to the sport? Now it's, oh, no, he hit him above the waist. Oh, no, it was a crackback block. Oh, he decleated, and we can't allow that. All the things that used to make football, you can't do it anymore. And why do you suppose that is? Let me think. What was it they said when they talked about it? Oh, yeah, I remember now. We've got too much money invested in the player to risk him getting hurt. What? You got a sport that was designed for knocking the hell out of each other, and you're worried about money. It always comes back to money. It doesn't matter if it's at the college level. It doesn't matter if it's at the pro level. They're changing the rules to fit their pocketbook, not changing the rules to fit the betterment of the game or what the fans want to see. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of money controlling everything. I'm going to get me a cabin up in the woods and eat mushrooms. Maybe 1 or 2 will be magical, and I'll have all kinds of hallucinations of how good it used to be, and it ain't no more.
To the penalty box for you. Well,
That was awesome.
that was unexpected. Thanks, Pop.
That was a nice check.
Yeah. So
Put him in the box for roughing.
well, I wasn't going to go money with it, but I was going to say it's so watered down now, and you got players that are being sat for minutes or exceeding a certain minutes time to rest them up for later in the season, or oh no, we can't let LeBron play more of the games than whatever, and I don't want to get on that. Or you're coddling superstars instead of letting them play, and it's ridiculous. And I guess it does go with money. But then you look at hockey. You got people like Jack Hughes getting his teeth knocked out and still playing. I mean, does it get any more manlier than that? You got the first period of the Sabres-Bruins game last night. One of the most physical first periods I've seen in a long time, mainly because I don't watch that much hockey. But it was physical. Where is the physical that used to be the entire sports world? And I know you have boxing. Boxing's physical, but that's not a team sport. And rugby's probably the only other sport that can say that they are just as physical today as they were way back when. And that's why people should watch hockey more. I mean, they have not pansified hockey yet. So, I don't know. Maybe you shouldn't watch it. Get a bunch of money in there. They might try to start.
That's true. That's true. I mean, you got the Hurricane Senators, the first 3 seconds of the Stanley Cup playoffs, because that was the first game that started it all off. There was a fight off the draw. Stahl and Brady Kachuk threw fists, captains of each team. These are the captains of each team. So it's a great point, Sam, that when everybody else is floundering with what to do about getting fans interested and excited, hockey has got that part rolling for them. That's for sure.
Yeah. Now, what other sport besides obviously boxing and MMA can you say, we're just here for the fights?
I don't even think
Yeah.
MMA is as good as it used to be. I feel like that's even gotten watered down.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of ground and pound that's taken it away from the people that want to see the quick knockouts and stuff like that. Yeah.
I want to see teeth go. I want to see blood, man. Fucking back. Let's go back and open the gladiators.
Yeah. Yeah. I think hockey might be where it's at for that. I will say, even at the lower level, used to go down to those games and expect just as many fights as you saw skill. I will say that when you go to those lower levels these days, there's a little bit more skill and there's less fighting, but they still will do it, right? It's still just a passion sport. Like, what other sport do you see anymore where, Sam, to your point with resting superstars and everything else, goalies are protected guys in hockey. That's the most protected position. But if a goalie gets a slash, no one stands around and just waits for the referee to call a penalty. You're getting grabbed, punched, you're getting elbowed, you're getting chucked into the boards. There's something being done that's essentially policing by the players themselves. They don't even really need referees. But it can get out of hand, as we've seen a little bit with Casey's team and the Penguins. The Flyers and Penguins series is getting a little bit crazy in this one tonight. But yeah, it's battle for Pennsylvania. So again, the pride is going to be there. The physicality is going to be there all the way through. Sam, did I let you get all your points in on the physicality of the sport still being there and alive?
Yeah.
Nice. Casey, do you want to go next with your point there?
Yeah, nice little lead in there. And let me just say, if it was possible to have the Flyers and the Penguins in the finals, it would be fights every 2 minutes. It would be nonstop. So we're going to talk about the Flyers and the Penguins rivalry, the battle for Pennsylvania. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it used to be not so much a battle. The old Spectrum that was in Philly, the Penguins were 0-39-3 from 1967 to 1989.
Wow.
Flyers actually went 86-36 and 19 in that time span. Then Mario Lemieux joined, and it kind of became a rivalry finally. You had Eric Lindros, Yager. So looking back to it, the late 80s and early 90s is where it got good. And that's when I feel like all the sports, not just hockey, but the 90s were probably like the peak time for the physicality and the competition. Players played for the love of the game, and getting paid was the benefit. Now it's all about the money, whereas love of the game takes a back seat. But
Hey, can we stop talking about money? I don't want to be checked again.
Oh, man.
So going back to the 1989 division finals, the Flyers won that 4-3. Then they met again in 97 in the conference quarterfinals. Flyers won that 4-1. 2000 Flyers won 4-2, and then 2000 is really when it became a rivalry with the tail end of Yager and Sid the Kid coming in, and then it was the Penguins took it. 2008 Penguins won 4-1. 2009 Penguins won 4-2. Then finally in 2012 the Flyers came back, won 4-2, and then last matchup was Penguins 4-2, and now we have looks like the Flyers are going to take it if unless Pittsburgh gets their head out of their butts. But as far as like in hockey, as far as like you got like the Islanders and the Rangers, there isn't really too many in-state rivalries or even like regional rivalries that on a semi-annual basis have the same kind of physicality that the Flyers and the Penguins have. And being from Pennsylvania, not typically like one to associate with Philly fans because they're pretty brutal, but when it comes to hockey, yeah.
The brutality, the Broad Street bullies are alive and well.
Yep.
The kid, 19-year-old Porter Martone, comes in from Michigan State, gets a couple games in the regular season, And I'm seeing him act like he's been in the league for 5-6 years tonight. He's joining in on the scrums. He's a leader by example. So he's not sitting back and as a 19-year-old scared to get involved, scared to get mixed up with the Pens on the other side. He grabbed Letang into a headlock earlier. I mean, that's a veteran guy who's close to retirement. He's been in the league that long. So to see Martone step up for Philly that early in his career, I mean, he's not a small kid, so that helps. He looks just like a man like the rest of them. So that helps with that aspect. But Casey, any last points on the Flyers-Pens series?
Finally get to say, Pittsburgh sucks. As a Ravens fan, Ravens Steelers is the other big rivalry. So it's nice to feel like our teams are actually doing something.
Yeah, no, definitely. As a Canes fan who've been beaten numerous times by the Pens over the years, it also feels good to see them going down early and hopefully all the way out. As I told you before we started recording, I did choose the Flyers to win that in my NHL bracket. But talking about Porter Martone leads me to my point that indirectly, the NHL is going to be a big winner in the NIL aspect of college sports. And you say, well, how's that? But NCAA hockey has never been the first or best league when it comes to player development. You've got American kids who want to get college paid for, and they'll go there and play until they hopefully get drafted. But Canadian leagues are the place to be, or were, because now in the NIL era, these kids coming out of high school, instead of having to go away from home into Canada to play on a junior team, they can stay in the States, get their education paid for, and get paid by NIL deals. Now, where does the NHL win in that, right? That's the colleges winning. That's the kids winning. Well, that helps with market value. NHL doesn't have much. They don't do great at marketing themselves. They don't do great about getting in front of new fans. Being on college campuses will help that. And the biggest example is the possible first pick overall, Gavin McKenna. He is a Canadian-born hockey player. Why the hell would he come to the United States to play hockey? Well, Penn State paid him a bag. I don't know if it's fully been disclosed how much he's been paid, but the possible number one pick left Canada to come to the States solely because of the NIL aspect of what college now can provide hockey players. They couldn't previously do that. So I think indirectly, NHL is going to be a big winner. And for the kids that aren't as big named, but still have some talent coming out of Canada that now want to look at getting paid to play in college, now you're having kids stay in college a little bit longer. So these programs can hopefully develop a little bit more as well. So we'll see if it continues to be a value add, but I really, truly expect it to help the league into the future because you're getting name brand players playing in college hockey for really the first time, unless, usually if you got a guy in college you've heard of, he's been there 3 or 4 years, right? Gavin McKenna came in for 1 year at Penn State. Everybody knows who this kid is. And he also got into some legal trouble because he got into a little bit of bar fight one night. That's an ongoing thing that'll be an interesting aspect to this as well. But I don't know, Sam, let's start with you. You think I'm right, or do you think that's like a stretch about NIL kind of being a good thing for the NHL in the end?
I think you can be right. And just while you were talking about whether you're right now, it's an isolated incident.
True.
Maybe if it grows, then yeah, maybe. Then you're looking at what you look with the NCAA right now with basketball. Are you going to start going to Russia and getting pro players over there and bringing them into college and then just ruin any chance for high schoolers to get in and just kill hockey in the high school level? So, I mean, it can work with the right parameters. But as you were talking about that, it's not far-fetched to see this thing in the next 5 to 10 years or so have the majors subsidize college sports and pay basically colleges minor league style paychecks to develop, to keep kids in college and develop them to a pro status. Obviously, there's a lot of moving parts that would have to go into all of that, and it's probably not going to happen anytime soon. But I wouldn't be surprised in the next 5 to 10 years you actually start either hearing calls for it or seeing the groundwork start to be laid to basically turn college into the minor leagues and get rid of the minor league teams altogether.
Be interesting. Yeah. Casey, what are your thoughts on that?
I think I agree with you, but I think there would have to be some changes there. Like, first of all, you're going to have to get players. I mean, hockey's not as bad as basketball and football, but you're going to have to get some kind of contract to keep the player there for whether it's 2 years, whether it's 2 years with an option for a third and fourth. Because I mean, you make a very good point. If you can get a player in there, who gets people in the seats, then okay. Well, Penn State. I mean, they're a wrestling like juggernaut.
Yeah.
When you get people and like you build that, then people go there for Penn State wrestling. You don't need the name recognition.
Yeah.
But let's be honest, college hockey, it's not. I mean, like, I'm a Notre Dame fan, pretty much all sports. They're in the Big Ten because there's just not enough teams. Like Sam's point about the minor leagues. I don't know. Like, as somebody who lives, near Hershey, Pennsylvania, the Hershey Bears are a staple in the area. I just don't know if you can, push them out and force it to Penn State, Temple, like stuff like that. I think in theory you're right, Dom. Like, it's going to be good. It's just going to be a matter of how long does the NIL stay the way it is right now? Because you saw in the news, Trump is pushing Congress to do something about the wild, wild west of college sports.
Yeah.
And it's ruining, the money is ruining the educational factor.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I would argue for some sorts, what educational factor, right? Like, literally these kids admit they don't go to class because they would just be bombarded. So they're just doing everything virtual. It's like, kind of, that's not even college at that point, right? Like, I can do that as a 40-year-old sitting in my basement right now. I could go to class in college. That's not college. So
and then who's actually doing all the work for these kids?
Right.
I mean,
Yep. Exactly.
You teach me to football?
Hey, I want to go back and say one real quick about Porter Martone.
Yeah.
That he is the only teenager in NHL history to score game-winning goals in the first 2 career postseason games. That's
Great.
That's pretty insane.
Yeah. And it does help, like I said, that he comes in the size of NHLer. He's not an undersized, like, fast, skinny guy who scores a bunch of goals. Like, no, I actually heard them equate his game, not fully, but a similar style to like a Tom Wilson. But he's a little bit more of a goal scorer than the pest that Tom Wilson is. But he has that in him. So they're saying, like, the good combination there fits really well in Philly, first of all, because they like to play a little bit more physical style hockey. And he's got the size to do it. So he's not one of these small, speedy guys. This is a guy who's going to be there physically dominant for the next many years, hopefully, for the Philadelphia Flyer fans and hopefully for himself as well. So we'll see if that can come to fruition. I want to touch back on Sam's point that one of the things I did think about while putting that argument or statement together was the fact that you could try and get a Russian over early in college so that it does make the transition from college to pros much smoother than what it currently is. If you're going after Russian-born players, typically, actually, there are even NHL teams now that just don't really have a lot of interest in that because it's such a difficult task to go through all the paperwork, all the legalities, all the red tape that you've got to get through to bring those players over here. And then they play games. Like, we've seen this before. Like, it was expected. You were picked. You're coming over here. And then the agent and the guy says, well, he has a current contract with the KHL and we can't get out of that. So he actually is going to stay over here. We've gone through it as Hurricanes fans. Svechnikov was supposed to come over earlier. I believe Pyotr Kochekov was supposed to come over earlier, and KHL contracts tied them to stay in Russia longer. But then you do bring up a good point. And it's like the other points that we've made for baseball and basketball and even football to some extent. It makes it harder for these high schoolers then to come out and make a college team. And then they've talked about getting rid of the walk-ons, like for football specifically, right? Like, we're just not going to have walk-ons now. We'll have like fully paid rosters, and it's just crazy.
The with football, it's a little bit less of an issue with football. The walk-ons, but as far as high schoolers not getting on the team because you have so many football teams.
True.
Football is king in this country. You can say, oh well, baseball and soccer they get more viewers on TV. Yeah, that's because nobody wants to go to those games. They want to go to a football game. So, but yeah, I really think that football isn't going to be as affected by that aspect as what the lesser sports are that aren't on every campus.
True.
I mean, to your point, Sam, like when you look at the Olympic sports,
Yeah.
it's honestly like all the conference realignment was not fair.
Yeah.
Can you imagine like playing like say women's volleyball or men's volleyball for USC where you got to fly to Penn State in the middle of the week
Mm-hmm.
and you got to go to say Rutgers and you got to fly back to Oregon
Yeah.
for a sport that really wasn't probably making much of a profit before the realignment.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if some of the Olympic sports start going back regional, the conferences that are regional. Now that the Pac-12's back, I wouldn't be surprised if the Olympics go back to the Pac-12 on the West Coast.
I want to say it was Iowa State. Like, dude, they were like 150 million in the hole on an annual basis. Like, just trying to keep up the the Big 12 commitments and the pretty much anything but football and basketball. It's not sustainable for the long term. So it's going to be curious to see what happens with the Olympic sports. What happens with I don't know, like even basketball with the juggling and stuff. So what are these kids like sitting on a bus or a plane doing their schoolwork like in class?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I think that brings up a good point too, because like in hockey, right, you guys talked about how few teams there are, and there are very few teams. In fact, some of these teams that are good, like Quinnipiac, like they don't have your traditional football basketball school. They're a hockey school, right? They competed and won a national championship somewhat recently. You've got like St. Cloud State, like people haven't really heard of them for other things, but they're great for hockey.
Denver.
So what?
Denver just won the national title.
Yeah, there you go. Denver, perfect example. And they've been a mainstay too. Like they've been there, done that numerous times.
Boston.
Yep. Boston. BC, obviously has a bigger with the ACC tie-in for football and basketball, but still a small school, kind of like a Wake Forest type thing, right? Private school and everything. But it'll be interesting to see if, like what I said, may start to come to fruition a little bit better or stronger if more teams or more schools, I should say, add teams. The other interesting aspect of this that comes into play, though, is Title IX. You can't add a men's hockey team just because you want to. Yeah. You would either then have to add a women's team or add a women's team in another sport. Doesn't have to be hockey. Although if Penn State's got, an ice hockey slab, a stadium that's very nice, why wouldn't you just have both, like men's and women's, if you're going to go through the process of building an arena for them specifically? Now, if you're sharing, I don't know, other aspects come into play, but I know right here down the street from me, UNC is trying to build an ice arena. And I can only think that there is a master plan that involves them being a Division I ice hockey team if that stadium comes to fruition. Right now, it is not a thing that is anywhere other than, a possibility. But if it comes to fruition, you have to think you're spending that kind of money. You're going to put together a plan to become a Division I ice hockey program, and they'd be the only one in the state of North Carolina. Then what does that do? Like NC State's down the road. NC State and UNC usually play at least one game every year in the Hurricanes arena. Could State use that to start playing in Division I? They don't have to build one. They can rent it out. Again, those are all pipe dreams for most people and thought processes, but it would be interesting to see if, because of men's hockey growing and popularity and numbers, does women's actually grow too? So you're almost indirectly affecting a lot of things. Then NHL could kind of benefit from all of it, because if people are watching women's hockey, they're certainly going to turn on NHL playoffs every year, even if they don't watch a ton of the regular season. And if you're watching the Frozen Four, NHL playoffs are right after that. So, I mean, you're just going right into, things that the NHL could greatly benefit for, especially 3 gold medals in men's, women's, and sled hockey. No one's ever done it before. The U.S. has done it. And so can they keep the steamroller rolling with hockey in the United States? It'd be fun to watch as a big-time hockey purist over here.
I'm going to put you 3 on the spot right now. We're going to get away from college just a little bit here. Who's your favorite to win the title this year? We'll start with Casey. No homerism.
No homerism? What are you talking about?
You go.
I would like it to be the Flyers, but
okay. Now, realistically,
realistically, I mean, the Hurricanes are strong. Like, they had a pretty good season. Anybody but the Golden Knights, honestly. Vegas shouldn't even have a hockey team. It's in the middle of a desert. Now I'm gonna go Hurricanes. They I don't want to say they have the easiest path, but I mean, I don't really view the Senators as much of a challenge for them.
Well, I'll disagree on the Senators be a challenge. So far, we have the 2 lead, but it hasn't been easy for the Hurricanes. And one of the reasons is because they play the same style game, right? So lots of pressure, shots on goal, but they're not necessarily all the greatest chances. We got Olmark currently standing on his head for the most of the series, and we've been lucky enough to beat him a few times. I'm just not going to lie to you. I took the Hurricanes to win it all because I put a bracket together. I do have them playing the Avalanche in the final. I think the Avalanche have been the best team throughout the entirety of the regular season. It just comes down to when you have to win 16 games to win the Stanley Cup, can you do it, right? Because there's going to be some teams that give you a hard time for the matchup. Are your guys all healthy? Is your goalie standing on his head enough, winning you games when your offense isn't firing on all cylinders? They've seen that so far, honestly. They've struggled just kind of like the Hurricane-Senators series with Colorado and LA. Colorado should be winning those games, if you ask a lot of people, by numerous goals. And they're struggling to win games by more than 1 goal right now against LA. LA's been known for their defense. They just had a problem scoring goals. But so far, they've kept Colorado from scoring a lot of goals, and they've gotten just enough to give them a really hard time where Colorado's had to win those games late. I would say the odds-on favorite for vast majority of hockey fans is going to be Colorado. But like I said, I'm sticking with my pick. Homerism, full charge. I'm going to go Hurricanes.
I'm going homerism too.
Going Dallas?
Yeah.
See, I think the Avalanche actually have the easiest path to get to the championship, like coming out of that Western Conference with the one, I mean, once they get past the Kings, it comes down to the Stars and the Wild, and I like the Avalanche's, chances against either one of those teams. And I don't know, like, I don't know. It's weird to me to like say something about like Vegas having a hockey team.
Yeah. And a shocker that they lost to the Mammoth the other night. That was crazy.
No, it wasn't.
Sam's
Wasn't no shocker.
Phoenix from the ashes of the desert.
Do I need to pull that up again?
See, they were smart. They left the desert and went to, hockey territory.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, that's true. So, Sam, any further explanation? You're just taking the Stars just for the homerism pick, or you think they, their hardest matchup might be mini?
I think their hardest matchup's going to be Colorado in round 2, and they get past there. That very well could be national championship right there, or say national. I'm still in college mode, but that could be the title right there. Dallas and Colorado. Coincidentally, the 2 teams I rooted for growing up. So,
so you can't lose.
I know, right? It's a win-win for me. The only other team that I see that can make a run out of that bracket is Vegas, Golden Knights, and then I think the Hurricanes probably got a clear path to the championship, but I don't think they're going to win it. They'll get there, but.
Can we just have a sidebar for a minute about like a team from Vegas, like being called the Knights. Like there's nothing warrior like about Las Vegas.
Well, do you
No,
know where
but-
they got the name from? The owner was a Army guy, and he wanted them to be the
Okay,
what is it? The
Army.
what is yeah, the Army. There's like some dive team or jump team that's called
Yeah,
like the
Golden
Army's
Knights.
Golden
Yeah.
Knights. Or yeah.
Okay.
So I think they're called the Silver Knights. I think that's what he wanted to initially name them or something. So they said you couldn't do that. I don't know. Oh no, it was the Black Knights. That's what he wanted. He wanted to call them the Black Knights. They said Army said no, you can't do that. So he went with the Golden Knights because they're on the Vegas Strip. So yeah, there you go. But that otherwise you're right. It would not make sense except for like Vegas Knights, as in like
Sin City.
NI, the
Right.
regular version, and then but yeah, it is weird.
Should have been something funny like the Las Vegas Sinners. That would have been awesome.
At least it'd be true.
Have like the Playboy like Playmate style, that would have been hilarious.
When
Yeah.
it'd be like you got the Houston Gamblers. Like, there's no.
Yeah, that's a good one. They could have done well with that, with the gambling aspect, with like the cards coming out on the like the logo or something. That would have been cool.
Yeah.
So Dom, when the last week's conversation we had about shots on goal.
Yeah.
Like there's still 13 minutes left in the third period here with the Philly-Pittsburgh game, and like both teams have 25 and 23 shots on goal. Like they're playing more old school hockey instead of the lateral game.
So they listen to you, basically.
Yeah.
This game is too physical. If you try to play laterally, you're gonna get your teeth knocked in.
Oh, so talking about the physicality of that one, there was 6 Penguins in the box and 5 Flyers in the box when I came downstairs, or right before I came downstairs. So
Right now, Pittsburgh's on a power play.
Yeah.
Gotta love it.
There were so many people in both boxes that 2 people from the Flyers had to stand and 3 of the Penguins had to stand.
I love it.
That's insane.
I love it.
Oh man. Yeah.
Well, fellas, let's wrap this up with our sponsor. Stop losing time and money to busy work. Visit www.aiforbiz.com. That's biz.com. AI for Biz, and book your free AI business assessment call. And we'll show you, or they'll show you exactly how AI can fix your bottleneck problems in your business. That's aiforbiz.com. Well, that'll do it for this episode of The Hat Trick. Dom, Casey, me, thank you guys for coming. Thank you, Pop. I know you're probably going to watch the rest of this to see how your body check worked. So thanks for that.
You didn't bloody him off enough, Pop.
And until next week, see you guys later.